don't think people understand just how sensitive the brain is. So you find yourself being unable to think straight, or you feel like you have brain fog, but you don't understand all the things that go into decision making. So for example, I'll ask people about what do you think makes it harder for you to make decisions, and they say like, well, I don't sit to focus enough, or I don't take all the information into consideration. Yeah, all of that could be true, but there are so many other things that affect the way your brain works that are so important and so overseen. And I want to get into that today to help you understand just how crucial it is that you give it the right input. You know, people talk about karma when someone does this wrong. They're like, oh, karma's going to get them. Karma means input output. If you do good, you get a good back. We know that. But it's the same with what we're giving our brain. Okay? It's the same. If we give certain input, we're going to get certain output, and that output is important. The problem is it's not as tangible. So you don't really understand how energy is used by the brain. You don't really understand how your glucose just affected that decision that you made, or the inability to make a decision. So let's get into that. Your brain uses 20% of your body's energy. Okay, your brain is about 2% body weight, but it uses about 20% of your energy at rest. That is at rest. That means your brain is incredibly demanding, and it notices very quickly when resources are limited, when you skip meals, when you eat a lot of carbs or refined carbs, when you're even slightly dehydrated, when your sleep is not a 10. These things don't just make your body tired, they change the way your brain operates. Because performance isn't just psychological, it's biological. So let's talk about every one of these. Glucose, you hear a lot about carbs, right? And it's not the enemy, it's not the bad guy, but unstable glucose is a really bad guy, okay? Your brain cannot store much energy. So it depends on having a steady supply. So when blood sugar spikes happen rapidly, up, down, insulin follows, up, down, trying to regulate that blood sugar. Then your blood sugar drops. So there's a lot of ups and downs going on in the body. And now your brain has less available fuel. Why? Well, glucose, your brain is extremely sensitive to glucose. So here's what happens. It's harder to concentrate. You have crazy cravings. You have brain fog. You have irritability. Everybody knows what it means to be hangry. And you also make impulsive decisions. And oftentimes people will label this as lack of discipline. Well, sometimes it's just unstable fuel that you've been giving it. The next thing I want to talk about is hydration or dehydration. Your brain notices dehydration way before you do. Studies have shown that losing as little as 1 to 2% of body water can completely impair the attention, working memory, reaction time, mood. The list goes on and on. Okay? So you don't even have to feel thirsty for this to happen, by the way. Your performance has already been declining by the time you even notice. And this is remarkably small psychological change with huge measurable effects. So drink up that water. Ideally, pay attention to what kind of water you drink. You want mineral water. Let's talk about temperature, another thing that affects the brain. Your brain literally changes with temperature. You know how hard it is to think in a very stuffy room? Like you just want to open windows, you want to get fresh air? Higher temperatures actually increased the effort and reduce the attention. Okay? This is why it's not that your office is just uncomfortable. It's actually affecting your cognition. So your brain is very sensitive to temperature. Studies have shown, and this is very individual, studies have shown that the general temperature of 67 Fahrenheit is the perfect study or work condition. However, for women, especially for women over 40, this can be different. This is why I don't want you to be stuck on a number that the studies show, rather than paying attention to how you're thinking and feeling. Next, I want to talk about the light, because the light tells your brain what time it is. And based on the time, it has certain things to be done. So morning light isn't about like, oh, we're doing the new trendy thing, the good vibes. It hits specialized cells in your retina. This is how specific your body is. These signals, they bring the message to your brain to turn on the master clock. This master clock starts timing, and then your body times cortisol based on it, melatonin release based on it. It gives you alertness based on it. It adjusts your body temperature based on that. It's insane how much light affects this. Now, you want to do normal, regular sunlight in the morning. You don't ever want to look in the sun. I'm going to say this always, should be common sense, but whatever. You always want to get out in the sun so that your eyes get this message to the brain without looking directly in the sun. And this is also why starting in the afternoon, like even 11, 12, you want to start slowly tapering off the LED light, okay? 10 minutes outside in the morning can change how your brain functions 12 hours later, provided you're not messing with glucose and all the other stuff, okay? Next thing I want to mention is how much your energy burns, how much your brain burns energy when you're making decisions, okay? Decision fatigue isn't just that you ran out of willpower for the day. It's not like you have this certain number of willpower for the day and you just ran out of it. It's the prefrontal cortex that has this limited capacity to control, for executive control. This is the cost of a decision. Every decision charges. Every decision comes with a bill. This is why routines matter. I hear people say this all the time. I'm just a routine. I'm a habit. I'm a, what is the term? Creature of habit. We all are. We're supposed to be. Not because we want boring stuff, because boring is easier. It's because this is the way you protect your best asset, the one that matters the most. Get into routines, make things non-negotiable. If you said you're going to work out, don't think about it. Don't think about your outfit. Don't think about what time it is. Just go and work out. It's that negotiation. Should I not? Oh, I don't know how I feel today. I don't really have a cute, just do it. Make things non-negotiable for yourself. Yes, I'm a little passionate about this. Next thing I want to talk about is noise. Noise literally changes your brain. Even background conversations can reduce your working memory. This is why you want to be very careful if you're listening to music, to what kind of music you're listening to. If you have anything in the background, including music with words, your brain is actively trying to decode what's happening, what they're talking about, decoding the language. It can't completely ignore it. This is why people think better in silence. Okay, it's predictable. It's got no words. You can have a melody if that works, but I find that even when it's a repetitive melody, the brain will start following that. Next thing is clutter. Okay, clutter competes for attention. Your visual cortex keeps processing things around you at all times. Every object that's visible to you is another piece of information. But I'm not really focused on it. Doesn't matter. Your subconscious is constantly picking up information. So you may not consciously notice it. You're not noticing your wrists right now, but your brain is taking everything into an account. Your brain notices everything. So the more visual clutter you have, the more competition you're making for attention. And that affects it as well. The next one is a big one, and that's sleep deprivation. It makes your brain, your emotional part of your brain louder. I want you to think of, for simplicity of things, of your brain as the reptilian part of the brain, the oldest part of the brain, the reactive one. Then we have the emotional part of the brain, and then the logical part of the brain. And we all know how moved we are by emotions. Unless something startles you when you react before you even knew what was going on, which is the reptilian part of your brain, your emotional brain can be getting louder when you're sleep deprived. How? Well, after poor sleep, and this can even take one night. I'm not even talking about what happens in days, weeks, months, years of your sleep not being at a 10. After poor sleep, your amygdala becomes more reactive. That's the connection between amygdala and your prefrontal cortex actually weakens. So the part that's responsible for planning and emotional regulation has less to say, has less influence. So it's not that you're just tired and it's not that big of a deal and you're going to push through. Your brain is literally operating differently. And when you are thinking from emotions, when you're making emotional decisions, you're not making intelligent decisions. When your emotions go up, your intelligence goes down. So I think that we as humans need to talk more about just how sensitive our brain is because it's overly underestimated. You're expecting yourself to perform at your best, to make the best decisions, to make the best use of your time, but you have to fuel it. You have to fuel your brain. You have to sleep. You have to hydrate. You have to use light from your environment. You have to structure your day in such a way to give your brain everything it needs to make you function properly. I don't want you to think of your brain separate as your body. Your body speaks a lot, but your brain is the most important organ that you have. It responds to your environment and it creates decisions for you or not. Sometimes you just can't make a decision. Well, you either not make a decision or you're going to make the wrong decision. Why? Why not care enough about your performance to do all these things right? And nobody's talking about perfection. It's not going to be perfect every single day. But if your performance is not where it's supposed to be, I want you to start by asking, not what's wrong with me, what's wrong with my mindset. I want you to ask, what conditions has my brain been trying to perform under? Have I been really upping my standards? Because I want my brain to function here at a 10, but I'm giving it the input of a 1. Where's your standards? Even if your standards are at a 6, that means you're operating at 60%. That's not what you're here for. Optimize your brain, and it will optimize how you make decisions. And when you make the right decisions, it leads to a completely different life. No more sitting in front of the computer and wondering where the time has gone. No more jumping from one tab to another. No more getting distracted on socials. Get things done, make them non-negotiable, give your brain and your body fuel, and that will make you perform at a level that maybe you haven't had yet. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I will be showing up here weekly to offer more tips on performance. If you'd like to follow me, make sure to do so. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments or DM me, and I'll see you